I'd like to welcome in Naresh, GRE investment coach, giving you some guidance and helping you out with properties. Of course, his services are completely free for you. Naresh, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Keith. Always great to be on.
Real estate data moves so slowly. You know, we had the Q2 data in for not very long now, and it showed that national home price appreciation is up 14% year over year. It's funny, you read about a slowdown. Well, yeah, it slowed down from maybe 20% year over year appreciation last year. 7 of the 10 fastest appreciating markets are all in Florida, which tell you a lot about why we talk about Florida so much. So, Naresh, what do you see with real estate trends from your perspective? What's important?
Well, I'll say this because you bring up data that covers Q2. So that's, I believe, April, May, June of this year, 2022. It looks like inflation, I don't want to say it's slightly going down. It's cooling somewhat. There still is inflation for sure, but it's not at the 9.5% that we were seeing a month or two ago. What I'm seeing is basically real time, whereas the data that's published is somewhat lagging.
Yeah.
But I am starting to see that home values have cooled. It's not that they are cooling, they have cooled. At least real estate prices have cooled, and home values have cooled as well, if not on the decline. So why is that actually a good thing as an investor? Because just 6 months ago, whether you were in Florida or anywhere in the United States, it was a really wild market. Something came available and it was gone within minutes. Let's just say within hours to make it more realistic. But I know homes that were actually gone within minutes. And so it was a wild market. People were paying way above appraised value. Appraisals weren't even being done. They were paying anything and everything. That's now gone.
Waiving inspections, yeah.
Yep, waiving inspections. It's not like that anymore. It's now more of a real... It's becoming more perfect. Let's put it that way. I think the migrants, when we saw this great migration in late 2020, all of 2021, that's cooled quite a bit because it was like, hey, it's now or never. This is the time to do it. We've seen that the number of job openings have cooled as well. We're just basically seeing a cooling that the Federal Reserve has been trying to create for the past 6 or 7 months, and it looks like it is having an effect. In fact, the latest GDP number, we are in a recession. I mean, forget about the changing of the definition of what a recession means. We've had 2 straight quarters of negative GDP, and we're still in this inflationary environment as well. So we are in a recession, and it's only expected that we'll see a cooling. Now, I don't see a crash. That's just my crystal ball. There's not going to be a crash, in my opinion. But what does this cooling mean? That means, hey, you don't have to compete against 24 buyers now on a property. You don't have to be glued to your phone waiting for me or your agent or somebody else to send you an email saying, hey, this property is now available. And if you're 2 hours late, the property's gone. It means that you may be able to negotiate a price on a home, or maybe the sales price, the selling price, is lower than what it would have been 6 months ago or 5 months ago or 4 months ago, or even in May of this year. It's going to be a little bit lower than that. And so I think that's a good thing, because now you're going to be able to find better values. And interest rates, even though they have been going up, they're still historically low. And I expect the Federal Reserve to continue their plan through the rest of this year, but I don't think they're going to raise rates anymore next year after they see all the cooling that's been done. I don't expect them to lower rates either. I think that they're just going to keep them as is and just let the economy run until the next major event happens in a few years, because we know something's going to happen. We are seeing more homes appraise at lower than list price. So sellers have been forced to lower the prices of the homes. We have seen homes that were available for sale 2 months ago, now available for sale for slightly less. And so this is my real-time commentary. It's if you're worried about escalation clauses, for example, which was a huge issue 6 months ago, 7 months ago, you had a guest on, one of our providers, who talked about no escalation clauses. You don't need to worry about escalation clauses anymore. No one's raising the price anymore. So yeah, right now is just a safer, smoother time to get in.
Yeah, there are a few ways to think about the housing market. one term that I like to state is we kind of had this normalization of the housing market. Real estate appreciation rates are cooling off and getting into more of a normal zone. Mortgage interest rates are more close to their conventional long-term mean. Rent appreciation has still been pretty aggressive in some places, but it's not really that far out of whack. So we really had a lot of this normalization. And, really part of that is we're still pretty low on inventory nationally, but we are getting a bit more inventory, including inventory that we have available for GRE followers. So tell us about that.
6 months ago, there was very, very little inventory. Even here at GRE, we only had a handful of properties to sell. Now today, we have close to 100 properties available for sale, whether they're new construction, pre-construction, fully rehabbed properties, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. And then geography, we're talking geography that spans most of the Midwest, a little bit of the Northeast, and a ton of the South. The most popular market is still probably Florida. And I would also say Memphis, Tennessee. So those are probably the two most popular markets. But we're getting a ton of interest in all those areas that I mentioned and that I provided. And I highly recommend people, if you're interested, if you have cash available, if you want to take advantage of the cooling real estate market and you want to buy properties, the properties range. We have properties as cheap as $85,000. Going all the way up to short-term rentals on beachfront property in Florida for $1.3 million. So we have short-term rentals, we have long-term rentals, like I said, duplex, triplex, fourplex, single family. We even have some vacation rentals like condos. We have everything imaginable, especially when I say we have close to 100 available properties. Definitely reach out, Naresh at getricheducation.com. That's Naresh, Naresh at getricheducation.com. And I'd love to share all that inventory with you.
And of course, we want this to be a good experience for the buyer. And long term, that typically means having a property management solution in place. Now, generally, our followers are pretty used to buying turnkey property where property is either new or renovated, already has a tenant in it, and is already under management. With the short-term rentals, do they come with a property management solution
Absolutely.
too?
All of our properties at GRE come with property management. So as a real estate investment coach, my job is to coach you completely free of charge, help you invest in real estate. So it's not like you come in, you buy something, and then I just disappear. No, like I'm going to introduce you to the property managers. If you're going through the lending process, I'll introduce you to some good lenders, the financing people. I'll introduce you to the good quality inspectors so you can get a good inspection done. I'm here to hold your hand throughout the process. Even after you close, I'm still here to hold your hand. So it comes with property management. Obviously, short-term rental property management is going to charge a heftier fee than just a long-term property management. Long-term property management you can get for about 8 to 10%. Let's just say around 10% now, because everybody across the board in every industry is raising prices. For short-term rental, we're talking property management anywhere between 20 to 30%. So let's just say around 25%. But it's certainly short-term rentals have their pros, especially if you're like on a beach in Alabama or in Florida, which we have short-term rentals available in Orange Beach, Alabama, or in the Panhandle area of Florida, or near Disney, close to the resorts of Disney outside of Orlando. So those are certainly available. But I also want to talk really quickly about the inventory situation. Because I've talked about all this great inventory we have. I've name dropped locations, but just overall, we are seeing that inventory across the United States, the amount of inventory available is rising. And so that's just another indicator that as more inventory stays on the market, not comes to market, but stays on the market, then home values will drop, or in this case, they already have dropped. But this ties into rent. Because even though the prices of homes have either stagnated or cooled or slightly gone down, more people have become renters during this entire process because homes were so expensive. Because interest rates, even if home values, let's say they dip by 5%, that's considered a decline in the real estate market, but that's still not enough for somebody to take out a mortgage when the interest rates have climbed up by 100%. It's still a very strong rental market.
Well, Naresh, talk to us about some specifics, some details on some of the properties that you're talking about, and then what type of cash on cash return an investor could expect.
Right now, I highly recommend one build that we are actively promoting, and this is one of our new projects that we're working on with one of our partners. It's a pre-construction property, and they have several lots available. So there are many of these build to rent, which we've covered, homes available, and it's in Poinciana, Florida. Poinciana, Florida is almost neighboring Kissimmee, Florida. Kissimmee, Florida neighbors Orlando, Florida. So it's about half an hour outside of Orlando. Let's just say about 20 to 25 minutes drive to Kissimmee and all the resorts that are available there. But we have really good pricing on this build. It's $312,000 and it cash flows extremely well, close to $500 a month. Florida has been booming. So in that area, we're not talking about like rural, middle of nowhere Florida where there's no, the nearest Walmart is half an hour away. This is Poinciana, like I said, close to Kissimmee, close to the resorts, close to tourist attractions. I wouldn't say it's a short-term rental attraction. I think it's a little too far to be a short-term rental, but it's still a very good area to find long-term tenants who are working in Orlando or really in the Kissimmee area.
And there is a continuum of tenant appeal, right? If you're right on the beach, that's probably going to make a good short-term rental, but you don't really want to be in the boondocks on the other end because you want to have a decent proximity to some tenant amenities like shopping and entertainment, which make for good long-term rentals.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have, for example, one build, several of these, and we've talked about this, Ocklawaha, Florida. Now I'll say that's what we have available. It's only about $212,000. It's much lower price
for a new build.
For a new build, brand new, and we still have those available, and they're ready to close in June of next year. That's one of the issues. You have to wait until June of next year. But what I like about the Poinciana, Florida builds that we have is, of course, we talked about the geography, the location. It's great. Whereas Ocklawaha, there's really not a whole lot there. It's a developing town, let's put it that way, a developing town, and their goal is to become a town. Poinciana, much more developed. It's closer to the hotspots. You got Orlando on one side, you got Lakeland on another side. Tampa is about an hour and 20 minutes away, so that's not too far. It's $312,000. But the best part, and I brought up the timeline on these properties, the best part is you don't have to wait until June of next year. You can, if you're serious, you can buy the lot quickly. So close on the lot within 30 days. After you close on the lot, they'll start building. They have builders ready to go. They're already permitted and everything. They got the licensing and all that. So they'll start building, and it takes about 3 months to build the home. So the total process is about 4 months. So you can, if you were to buy today, if you were to, sign a purchase agreement today and move quickly, and you will close by the end of this year.
We're talking with no escalation clause, so you don't have to worry about that price running up on you after you purchase that pre-construction lot.
Absolutely. So it's $65,000 allocation as your down payment, which goes towards the lot, and that's essentially what's held in escrow and your down payment. And then after that, it's all financing, and in about 3 months after that lot closes, then the build is going to, because it's built to rent. So they're building a ton of these at the same time. So I think this is the best deal we have right now. The numbers look amazing. I mean, I'm not going to bore people with numbers right now, but just know it's in a neighborhood class A. Rent is obviously going to do really well because of the geography. And by the way, they're 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So they're not big enough to where they can't be a rental, but they're also small enough. They're only 1670 square feet. So it's a perfect rental market with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1670 square feet. That's very solid.
4 bedrooms, you typically tend to get a larger family size there. And the larger family size you have, the less mobile they are. Therefore, they would tend to be retained longer as a tenant for you, the investor. Well, Naresh, are there any last properties to tell us about, whether that's in a different geography or a different property type?
Yeah, well, we've been getting several Memphis properties come available for sale, and these are new constructions in Memphis. I would recommend the new constructions that our partners are building over the older. We do have some older Memphis properties as well. I think the newer constructions, they're not too much more expensive. So their price, you're basically paying about $40,000 to $50,000 more for something new, brand new, and they cash flow just as well, if not better. So, for example, right now we have one in Memphis that's selling for $160,000, and it cash flows even better than the Florida property. We're talking about if you were to do a fixed rate mortgage, it's over an 8% cash on cash return. So that's about over $250 a month for a new build. That's pretty rare. And yes. So I like the price point because it's hard to find new builds anywhere for under $200,000. Doesn't matter if you're in the boonies of Tennessee or the boonies of Florida or wherever. To find a brand new construction home under $200,000, we have those available in Memphis. I will say they're very popular with our file, so they go quickly. So if this interests you at all, just reach out to me, Naresh at getricheducation.com, Naresh, Naresh at getricheducation.com. I can send pro formas, pictures, and all that good stuff. But we're hopefully going to be having more properties. I know we're in talks right now. We're going to be having more properties in that Memphis area that are ready to close within 3-4 months, new builds, and even older properties that are ready to close within 40 to 50 days.
Well, thanks a lot for that update. It's important that we know about properties and we put properties in our portfolio because, like they say, you can't make any money from the property that you don't own. So if this is potentially of interest to you, reach out to Naresh for properties in either Poinciana or Ocklawaha, Florida, or Memphis, Tennessee, or there are a number of others. These are just 3 that we happen to discuss here this time. Again, you can do that at Naresh at getricheducation.com. I'm Keith Weinhold. I'll see you next week. Don't quit your daydream.